Hello and welcome to a channel update. This is August, and I really like August, especially the start, as it's my birthday. It's fantastic, it's great, and I've got a couple days off work, so we're going to get a lot of videos recorded, and it's going to be fantastic. So, let's talk about the schedule, let's talk about all the things that are going on, then you can give me feedback, and then we'll have a month and we'll do another one of these episodes. That's pretty much the way that we're going. So, first things first, talking about getting things recorded, the last couple of weeks have been a little rough. Basically, I've been ill, and it's been well hot, and it's been hot for a really long time. And, well, it's not a great combo because it means, basically, my brain gets fried much earlier in the evening than it usually does. And I'm just like, I just want to sit and do nothing. It is just boiling me, and then I just want to sit, windows wide open, doors wide open, and go for it. But that doesn't really work, so I got to record, and then things just get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and then I end up recording things on the same day, which isn't great, which is also what I'm doing today, weirdly. Hopefully we should get back up to date starting this weekend, because I have 4 days in a row off, including the weekend, so hopefully that will allow me to actually get things recorded and get things on time. Just wanted to say apologies, but that's basically the reason. It's been hot. But it did rain this week, which is huge. And the temperature dropped like 10 degrees and suddenly everything was much better. I could think. It was brilliant. Anyway, let's talk about what we've got on the schedule and what's likely to be shown next month. So, Divinity, unlikely. Unlikely to see it this month. Basically, the reason why we're unlikely to see Divinity is my co-host does not have a mic currently. He is apparently not in a place where he has any kind of access to anything. So, yeah, we'll see about it next month, I guess. It's kind of like on a wait and see. It's on a holding pattern. They are releasing the enhanced version at the end of the month. I have realized that we have spent so long in the series that they have released they've effectively released the better version of the game, which is just kind of, it hurts me in my soul to go back to the old version of the game when there's a better one. But also, if we restart, there is no way we're getting momentum for that series going. So, yeah, we'll need to see. I don't entirely know what we're going to do with that, but we'll see. I would like to finish it, and we did finish the first one despite having similar issues. I do have about 4 hours of that recorded, but I was like, okay, we've recorded 4 hours, but I can see no way that we're recording any more in the foreseeable future, so I'm just going to keep it, and you know what? I was right. I was very right. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll hopefully get a backlog. I'm hoping for about 12 hours of backlog before we actually get anything going out on the channel, and that should give us enough time to actually catch up, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, ignoring that one, other stuff on the channel, we have Crusader Kings. I'm going to talk about this first because it's the game that I least want to play right now, which is kind of, it's alright. It's the normal thing that happens. It's right before an expansion for Crusader Kings, which is usually when my interest drops quite a lot in that game. And I don't have the Paradox itch right now. Occasionally I get it. Occasionally I'm like, yeah, I want to play as many Paradox games as possible. Right now I'm like, no, not really, not interested. Which is fine. It's absolutely fine. But I think it may be partially to be with the series I've chosen. The Cassell series was really good for about 2 weeks. Like, it had 2 weeks of really, really solid content and stuff I was enjoying, and then it just went away. And partially that's because of not being able to record it in a batch. Being able to record that kind of series in one go is fantastic. Because it's all about your interactions with characters. It's about remembering relationships. It's about tying in everything. But when you're leaving like a week or even a day between each recording, you start to forget things. And unfortunately, that then leads to the series not being as coherent. And it kind of falls apart a little bit. And then it's a little bit difficult to get the ball back rolling again. I think it's got better over the last over like the last week or so. But yeah, I'm not sure about it. People seem to like it still. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the premise of the series was missing something to start. Like, it needed a little bit. I needed like a bit more of a spark, but anyway. Live and learn, live and learn. I think maybe I made the wrong choice in going like for a weird gameplay concept at the same time as a weird RP concept. like, they didn't really mesh together too well. Crusader Kings doesn't really give you the tools to work in those two quite so well. I feel like it would have been better as either a purely gameplay-focused series or a purely RP-focused series, but trying to mix the two in that way, I didn't like it, which I think is partially where my Crusader Kings, I'm trying to think of the right word, like, no, it's not coming to me, but anyway, that's partially where my, yeah, again, can't think of the right word for Crusader Kings is right now. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, it happens in waves. Like, this has happened before. I've been completely uninterested in Crusader Kings, and it goes back up again. There's a DLC, or there's a new mod, and then suddenly, I'm in. I'm sold. Which is kind of the thing with everything on the channel. Whichever thing is the newest is the thing I want to record the most. Apart from right now, because right now I really want to record Pillars, because it's getting really good, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Cassell series, kind of talked about that. The Hip series, I'm enjoying the mod. It is interesting seeing how much of the Game of Thrones mod, like, because I'm playing them at the same time, I can see that pretty much everything that I like about the Game of Thrones mod is in Hip. It does change the interface in weird ways, which isn't great, but a lot of the RP stuff is in there, a lot of those kind of events are there. It's good, it's good. I'm enjoying the mod, it's interesting. We're basically playing a weird version of the first series I did on the channel, because the first series I did was an Italian Count, which is exactly what we're playing now. So it's very, very interesting, because effectively I'm comparing it against vanilla, and the one of the first vanilla experiences, because I think my first time playing Crusader Kings, after I played in Scotland for a little bit, was to play an Italian one, and then kind of do the Roman Empire run. Like, that was my first really long game. So it's all really cool how that connects together. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. People seem less into it, or what I should say is this. People seemed less interested in it than the Game of Thrones one at the start, but now they're roughly at the same level. Now, I don't know whether this is because Game of Thrones has dropped off a cliff in terms of views, which it kind of has. Well, it's gone down, but it's not really, it's to be expected, it's a longer series. Or whether Hip has, like, what I think's happened is the Game of Thrones one dropped down as it's gone on, just because of natural, you know, people not catching on every episode, and then it, you know, they get behind, and then some people drop off here and there, they get less interested, they do something else for a while, all that sort of stuff. But Hip seems to be getting people consistently watching, like the same amount of people. So is it better content that's just got less people brought in at the start? Or do I just have about the same number of people watching the same stuff and they're actually the same people? I don't know, it's kind of weird. Any feedback on that is very useful. Like, if you watch one or the other, tell me why, and I'd be very interested in seeing that. I do know that some people watch one and some people don't watch the other just based on comments, but we'll see. Anyway, Darkest Dungeon. It is our newest series, and yeah, it's interesting. It's something I've meant to go back to for a while, and the game is just so well polished. Like, that game has so much in it that's just really, really well done. It's got a lot of mechanics, like, it's got more depth to the mechanics than you would first think, and I really like that. I also like having the viewer-named characters. It does make me feel bad, though, when they potentially die, not that anyone has yet. Well, no viewer-named characters have died, I should say that. No characters have died, but yeah, it's interesting. I do actually want to keep people alive, which gives me a little bit more of an investment in it. It's less of like, all right, I'm just using the resources and things like that. No, I'm trying to keep people's characters alive, get them to do cool things, and yeah, it's nice. It's a cool game. It's about pressing limits, about resource management. It's good. Come watch it. It's also very, very stylistically cool, which I think that just pushes it up. It's not quite as chill as City Skylines, but it's still a fairly chill series in that there's not a lot of have to do stuff right this very second. There is a lot of, you know, danger, obviously, in it, but yeah, it's still fairly laid back in terms of a series, which is good. It's good to have a more laid back series. Right, next one we're going to talk about is KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic. It is, you know, it's my favorite game ever, so I'm a little biased. I quite enjoy it. I have seen with this series, there are a lot of people in the comments talk about how, like, they played the game before. So, that kind of leads me into my next point. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that, while in the Witcher series, which is very similar time for the game, like, as in terms of age length, and a very similar type of game. People were not saying that. They were saying, I haven't seen this before, and that sort of thing. So it's interesting seeing the contrast. Also, the contrast in views. I don't want to talk about views too much. I say this every time. Views are basically my way of telling how invested people were with the concept of something, and then how much people like it over time, how much people are willing to stick to it, which helps me know how good the content is, or how engaging the content is, or whatever, right? So, the views on it were initially lower than something like Witcher, although there are ways of boosting the views on the first video, like sticking it as your channel trailer, which I've currently done, which basically means that when they come to the channel, that's the video you see. In case you're wondering, yeah, that is something that the individual person, that YouTuber, if you want to call people that, content creator, whatever, that's something that they set on it. So the reason I do that is to basically push people to that video, so that, because it's the initial video on a series, the higher views it gets, the more it gets in search rankings and all that sort of rubbish. Anyway, that's a little bit behind the scenes on that one. But the initial views on the Knights of the Old Republic series is a little bit lower than on Witcher 1, or like significantly lower. And I was trying to think of a reason why, and I think mainly the reason why is that a lot of people have played this before, or have watched this before. I mean, it's Star Wars, and it's BioWare's best game, arguably. There are other ones that even I might argue for, like the Mass Effect series, the Dragon Age series. You know, they got a lot of good stuff. You got Baldur's Gate if you go further back, so, you know, there's a whole bunch of things that could be argued as their best game ever. But, yeah, it is really good. It's really, like, well known, and I think that maybe lowers the amount of people who want to watch it, because a lot of people have already experienced it themselves. I'm wondering whether perhaps I should have not gone, because for this series I went for a spoiler-free approach, which I think works best for, spoilers, the bit in the middle of the game with the twist. I feel like that works best for that if you haven't seen it before, which is kind of what I like my series to be. I like them to be, if you haven't experienced the game before, you can experience it by watching it, and it's not very, it's very inclusive that way, I think. I don't know, but maybe it would have done better if instead of doing that, it was completely spoiler-filled, and it was like talking about how choices affect further choices in the game, and, you know, talking through that sort of stuff. I don't know. Anyway, that's just me throwing out some ideas so that I can hopefully give you somewhere to get, like, give feedback on for that sort of stuff. Anyway, that's where we are with that one. It also is a pain to run, just as a pain to record. You can't record it in the same recording mode as everything else. You have to use display capture. You can't record it with your monitor being higher than 60 frames per second, or you'll freeze after every combat. The quick save button is F4, not F5, like every other game in existence, so you end up loading and having to redo a story cutscene. Just random things, nothing in particular, and yeah, so it's a bit of a pain, but at least, unlike Jade Empire, which runs on the exact same engine, you can actually record it. Which Jade Empire was sitting at its lovely somewhere between 10 and 15 frames per second for most of the back end of that game, so, you know, you get some good, you get some bad. Also, it doesn't play in widescreen by default. You have to download a cracked version of the game to then make it work in widescreen, which is just ridiculous. Anyway, I think the second game actually has a, well, one has mods, which is cool, as in has the mod, the restored content mod, which I really want to play, because that end of that game felt so unfinished, and if that mod is good, it may even be, I may enjoy it more than Knights of the Old Republic, like the first one, which is really cool. And I think I remember seeing that they have a patch so it runs widescreen by default on Steam, which would be fantastic, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I think I prefer the story in the second one. There's a lot of stuff where I'm playing the first one, I'm thinking, I remember what happens in the second one. I do not remember what happens in the first one all the way through it, so I'm thinking, yeah, I really do like it. The problem with the second game is the start is atrocious, which I think knocks like 3 or 4 points off whatever scale you're using on it. It's just, yeah, it is absolutely atrocious, the start of that game. It's longer than Taris, I think, and has no personality whatsoever. You barely speak to another person in the game. It's just like, ugh. Anyway. Well, at least in the start. And then it gets good. But, yeah. Well, I think we're going to play it after Knights of the Old Republic. We may play it after what we play after. I do want to play Pathfinder Kingmaker, which I may put in before, depending on when times kind of come in. I don't know. There are other things that are on my timeline that I want to play, but we'll see. Let's see. I was also considering Monster Hunter, but I think I've got, because I started Darkest Dungeon, I don't actually have a slot for it. So we may play it at some point if people are still interested later, but I don't know. I feel like the hype train kind of left that a little bit after it was on PS4, so we'll see. Although it looks like the PC version is really well done from what I'm seeing from previews and things. There is also another thing I want to play, which is the DLC for Pillars of Eternity 2. And I haven't decided how we're going to do it yet. I think that we're going to play it when it comes out. Because we haven't started the main story back yet in the game. Like, we're still holding off on the main story because we still have side quests to do. So it would seem like the best opportunity, if we still haven't actually got to the main story of Pillars 2, to play the DLC, assuming that it doesn't require you to play the main story first, which if it's the same as the first game, it won't, then play the main story of Pillars 2. Because I think that would lead in, that would be best, because we've already had a long time away from the main story. So I think that would work best, but I don't know. I've still haven't really decided that. I am really enjoying Pillars, though. Pillars is getting to the point where it is really good, story-wise. Gameplay-wise, the combat is so easy in that game. It is actually just so easy. I don't know. I don't know what they did between the first one and second one. Like, I thought originally it was because of these empowered attacks. So basically you can do an attack that's 10 levels above your current level, but you can only do one of them per character per combat, and then you only get like 3 per rest or something like that. But I've not even used them for like, I barely use those abilities, but yet it's still easy. I don't know. Maybe they've just made things easier to understand in the game, which might be possible. Maybe I built characters better, but I don't know. It just seems, I don't know. It's a little, maybe it's because we're over leveled for everything, which is also possible. But I was over leveled in the first game and that didn't seem to matter. Although what I will say is that in the first game, the bits that I found hardest were in the DLCs, which were which level scaled. So, you know, maybe that's the issue. But there was only one difficulty on this game that actually level scaled, which I think was the top difficulty. So, yeah, I assume that second highest would probably be give your level a challenge. I don't know. Anyway, Pillars 2 is still brilliant. I really like it. It's made so many changes from the first game, which are really good. What is really nice is that all the changes it made from the first game were also in the DLC for the first game. So that's why I really want to play the DLC for the second game, because if they're going to put all their changes in it, like to make it even better, that's going to mean the DLC, in theory, is of a much higher level. Also, it looks like it might be a sequel to the first game's DLC, which intrigues me. Or at least, it looks like it's set in the same area. I don't know. I have only seen a screenshot and a name. I think it's called Beast of Winter, so like I don't really have a lot to go on here. Anyway, let's have a look at what we've got over here, because this is basically my board for looking at what exactly we've got and what we want to kind of have a look at. So, waiting list of things I want to play. I want to play single player Gwent when it comes out. I've changed this from Gwent to single player. I don't really want to play Gwent multiplayer because I've heard that it maybe isn't that good anymore, or like the devs are making decisions that a lot of the player base don't like. That doesn't sound like a great point to jump on, and I don't really see a slot where I want to play it. Like, I'd probably play it in the Darkest Dungeon slot, which I'd prefer something different in that slot, basically. I think there are better games that I can fill that slot with than Gwent, so that's where that one is. The Avatar mod, I think, is the one I'm going to play next for Crusader Kings. I think I'm going to play it in the Cassell slot because it's going to end next, and it's going to be on a mod we've already played before. So I think that makes a lot of sense to play that there. It's also been updated to the latest version, and that means that when HIP ends, and HIP can pretty much end whenever, pretty much, you know, within reason, that means that we can jump right onto the new DLC for Crusader Kings in that slot, which makes it, that works perfectly for me. So we got like an old mod in the first slot, and we got new stuff in the second slot, which is exactly how I want to do things. So I think that seems like the most obvious way of doing things. Anyway. Also, I've wanted to play the Avatar mod since I've actually watched the series now, so I have some idea of who the characters are, and I have some idea of why people were saying, oh, Aang should marry Katara, or Aang should marry small Earth Kingdom lady who I've forgotten the name of. Yeah, anyway. Enough about that. I have no idea. But also things like, yeah, who Zuko is, and things like that, which I just had no idea. I was just thinking, okay, they're the bad guys. They're in red and they look evil. So I had no concept of who individual people were in that game mod when we played it first time. Anyway, Batman is one I want to play. The Telltale game. I think that's probably one of the ones on my list. I also have the Michonne game downloaded, but I feel bad playing them when the rest of the schedule isn't up to date. So I'll probably try and record some over like the next couple of days, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. They're not a huge priority, but I do want to get back to playing some of them at some point. Anyway, Pathfinder Kingmaker as well, we've already kind of mentioned. In terms of this stuff here, I do want to do some, I don't want to do channel art. I think this is probably what I meant to put in here, so that's like channel art. Make these actual things. So I want to do that, or by that, I mean, I don't want to completely redo it, but at least updating it so it says I don't play Skyrim anymore would be a good one. And RimWorld. Like, something like that would probably be good. But anyway, that's where I'm going with that. Thumbnails, what I'm looking to do with thumbnails is make them more consistent. Or like have a new style that works. I want to try and find... Because basically, I can't spend too much time on them. Because otherwise I'm putting all my time into thumbnails when I could be recording or doing anything else. But what I want to do is make them consistent. So basically, the way I heard it once, which sounds really good, as a way of explaining it. So I want to make it so that when you see a thumbnail, you know it's one of my videos, which I don't know. You can for my Crusader Kings ones. They all have that like little rope banner thing. But let me tell you, here's where my graphic design skills came in. That took me days to get that to look even barely passable. And then I've just used it ever since. So we'll see. We'll see. I may actually need to end up finding somebody, because there are people who do like thumbnails professionally, so I don't know, or maybe that's going too far and taking it too seriously. I don't know. Audio, I was looking into new mics. I was considering getting a new mic. The worry I always have with new mics is if I replace the mic, right, does that, like, it has to be better, obviously. But if I replace it blind, there's no real way of testing them. So I've got to go by reviews, and then, like, I have to set it up. And the current mic is fine. Like, nobody complains about the audio. Some people have said it's good in the past, which is weird, because they've stopped saying that, which implies that the audio has got worse over time. But anyway. Or they just expect more things now, because it's been a few more years. But, basically... I don't know, replacing it and then getting a worse mic would seem like a really, like, that's a lot of money to invest, because my current mic is pretty much the top level of cheap mic. And then the next level up is like, you're buying an amp, you're buying like a proper microphone, you're buying a sound card, you're going all in. So, I don't know, we'll see. But that's where I'm going with that. Better video? I can probably ditch better video now, because we moved to being, what's it called? Yeah, we moved it to all being in, what's it, 1080 by 60. And we're not going to 4K, so, well, I mean, 4K video just seems pointless for me, because I can't do it unless I'm unless I'm actually, what's it called? Super sampling the game? At least that's what Witcher 2 called it, basically rendering in a higher resolution than my monitor can show. Because I only have a 1080p monitor, so I wouldn't even be able to tell if the video was that much better for any of you who actually have 4K. It just seems like a pointless upgrade at this point. So, yeah, we'll remove that. I guess I'll change this one to mic. Yeah, do it on the fly. Mic. Phone. There we go. Do it on the fly. Social media, I don't know. What I would like to say is I would like to talk about Discord for just now. I haven't mentioned it in a long time, and it is kind of dead. As people who have gone on there have noticed, it is kind of dead. It was just another thing to maintain. I think I said this in another update. But feel free to go on there. Feel free to chat. Feel free to talk to me. I will reply in time. I will reply to direct messages in time, but that's the thing. There's definitely a delay before I reply to anything on it, but it seems to be getting more active recently, and, you know, it's still there if you want to. Another thing I should mention is that the links in the bottom of my video have stayed the same for a really long time, and I had one that was just a stream tip link. I don't know if you remember stream tip, but apparently it closed down about 6 months ago. So it's just been sitting there in my description, just being like, if you want to donate, you can. Like, I didn't really care. I never pushed it. Like, actually, no, I think I pushed it in one update video maybe a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago at this point. But anyway, yeah, it's not there anymore. I'm not going to replace it. If you want to donate, I do have a YouTube, you can subscribe on YouTube Gaming if that's something you're interested in. I turned it on, and that's literally as far as I've gone. I have no idea how it works. You would need to work that out yourself. I may stream eventually, and I do want to talk about streaming, because streaming is something where I had a setup perfectly made. I did actually stream. I streamed Monolith, and then I streamed Elder Kings. And now I've upgraded my CPU. We could, in theory, stream Crusader Kings and it would work fine. But I just haven't got around to it. Again, it's kind of the same thing with the Telltale stuff. I don't want to play it, or I don't want to stream if it's then going to make the rest of the channel fall behind. Which either means I need to, if I want to stream, I need to ditch something off the list, or I need to get better prepared and backlog further. So, you know, that's where streaming is currently. You know what? We'll add it to the to-do list. We'll add it. Streaming. This is a very long video as updates go, but anyway. Timekeeping? Nah, we can remove it. I'm pretty much a video a day for every series now. It's better. Right. And in the suggestions list, here's where I've got to. Crusader Kings still isn't actually finished, so we'll move it there for just now. Hand of Fate 2, still interesting-ish. I don't know. State of Decay, I don't know. I didn't really look into this when I was doing it. I thought, it was just when I was playing Darkest Dungeon, which is the one I've chosen, I did look at the suggestions list and thought, do I want to play any of these right now? And nothing jumped out at me. Doesn't mean I'm never going to play them. It's just because I'm already kind of playing the 2 RPGs. I don't know how I moved to 5 videos, because I was at... Oh no, I remember. I was at 4 videos for a while. Like, and then I moved to 5 when Kingdom Come came out. That was meant to be temporary. And then Pillars came out. So yeah, obviously I had to do that at the same time. And now I'm just at 5 videos constantly, which is kind of interesting. We may work on that. It may have to be after Pillars has ended. We'll see. But yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I've looked at these. Nothing's really saying no. Dead Island is the one I will say is the least likely, because it is a cooperative game. And I don't really have anyone to play it with. So I'm not sure about that one. We'll see. State of Decay is likely-ish. It might happen. Hand of Fate 2 is probably the most likely, because it's kind of unique and I like the weirdness. But yeah, they're all on my list. They're all things I might play eventually. But I need to get slots in the schedule. Probably means that once Pillars 2 ends, well, I'm gonna play Pathfinder Kingmaker. You see, this is more. I need to work on like working out the schedule. If more people weren't watching Crusader Kings, I would say we could ditch one of those series and do something in there. But a lot of people watch Crusader Kings, and it is probably the big. Well, I say probably. It is the biggest thing on the channel. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They were saying, by the way, the Paradox CEO said there is going to be a Crusader Kings 3. Or he said it's inevitable. The one who's leaving, Frederick Wester, I think. But, yeah, that's very intriguing to me. Also, Game Imperator, the Rome one, is something that I'm super interested in. Because they're saying it's basically EU4 CK2. So as in it has bits of both. Which could be really good. Like, really, really good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's always the kind of grass is greener thing. It's like, ooh, that's fantastic. Like when Stellaris was coming up, I was like, I'm going to play Stellaris. It's going to completely revolutionize things. Then I played it and I was like, I don't really like it. Which I think was actually a lot of people's responses, given how much they've changed the game. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I've rambled on for far too long now. It's half an hour for an update. Not really short, is it? But, you know, if you enjoy this kind of thing, you enjoy this kind of thing. If you like just listening to me talk, this is more of it. So, thank you for watching, and please give me your feedback, as always. Right, see you next time. Goodbye.